Good morning. Welcome to Monday Morning Coffee and Chat with Hallee Bridgeman. I'm so happy you could join me. I have my cup of coffee. So if you have a cup of coffee or tea and you have a few minutes while we chat. So happy Monday, October 18th. I am flabbergasted at the fact that not Halloween, Thanksgiving is just 5 weeks away. For those of you who are local, this is really cool. I'll have a booth at the Fort Knox PX for Black Friday. I'm really excited about that. But then I'm also like really bummed because I love Black Friday shopping. Like I'm the get up. I'm not the go on for Thanksgiving Day. I don't agree with that. It annoys me. I remember a couple years ago, whatever Kaylee wanted, an Apple Watch or something for Christmas that was on her list. Uh, Someone had it on a Black Friday sale, and I went to get it. I got up at 4, and I got to the mall when they opened at whatever 6 or whatever, and they had sold out of that the day before. So I would have had to do that Thanksgiving Day in order to take advantage of the sales. So when 2020 hit, as much as 2020 was terrible and the coronavirus and everything was bad, I loved that Thanksgiving stores were closed. like I was like, well, maybe now they'll reset and not have it on Thanksgiving Day anymore. So I'm sure that I'm wrong. I'm sure that everyone will be shopping on Thanksgiving, but you know, what can you do about it? So anyway, yeah, so I'll have a booth at the Fort Knox PX. And I'm really excited because today my voice artist, Gene Rowley, is coming. He had a con up in Indianapolis this weekend, and he is with his wife and his daughter. And then he and Greg had deployed together in Afghanistan. And so their commander, who is now Gene's business partner, is with them and his wife. And so I'm so excited that they're going to be here. I have like this giant pot of beef stew on the stove. And when I get done with this video, I'm going to put some cheese biscuits in the oven and it'll just be a great time. So I'm really excited. So today's question is, what's your favorite book and why? And this question has been in my queue for years. And I've really like seriously put off answering it because I'm an unusual author in that I have a hard time enjoying reading like I used to. And I know authors that still read voraciously, especially in their genre. And that's just not, I still read in my genre and I still read, but when I do, it's work. And it's really hard for me to just relax and enjoy it. And before I started writing, I loved to read and I read so often and I read all the time. And I had a book in my purse and a book in my car. And if I went somewhere for more than a couple hours, I would take 2 books with me. And that was just who I was as a reader. However, when I started writing, all of that joy for reading went away. And it's taken me a really long time to discover it again. And I had to completely remove myself from the Christian romance genre in order to really enjoy reading. And so before I changed my reading habits, my favorite books, I could have listed them. I could give you the top 5, and they were all amazing books, but they're written by secular romance authors like Nora Roberts and Judith McNaught and Julie Garwood. Those 3 were my favorite authors. I read everything that they wrote, and my top 5 books were a mixture of those 3 authors. And when I really put God in the center of my life instead of as a peripheral being, and when I actually like brought him completely into my life, I changed the way that I read, and secular romances were just one of the things that had to go. So I didn't know what to start reading again, but probably the book that I've read the most often would be These Happy Golden Years by Laura Ingalls Wilder. And the reason is because the love that Almanza Wilder had for Laura is just rich in those pages. It just is. And she did this in this children's book written for middle school age. She did this beautiful representation of his love for her in all of these subtle ways. And I completely fell in love with their story. And I loved her story leading up to it. And I loved that she wrote Farmer Boy and gave us a taste of his life. But all of those books to me were, the whole point of them was to get to these happy golden years. And then after that, like the first 4 years were published after her death. She never fleshed it out into a book. And if there were more books that she wrote, I didn't read them, because to me, like, the story was done with these happy golden years. So that's what, and so if I wanted to like go read a romance and like re-energize like that part of my soul, I would go get the copy that I got in 3rd grade for Christmas. I would still get that book and I would sit down and I would read it. So probably that would be like in my top. Right now I'm currently reading Robert Parker Night Passage. And what this is from, it's the Jesse Stone series. And I think that this is the first book in the Jesse Stone series. If it's not, it's the first book after he gets to Maine. And I really liked the Jesse Stone's TV show, which was not, they're not TV shows. There was like a bunch of mini series that were based on the books. And I really liked the character Jesse Stone. And I really wanted to read the book to get into his head. I wanted to see what the author did with his internal thoughts and feelings. And as much as Tom Selleck is not Jesse Stone as the books are, the Jesse Stone in the books is much younger, a different kind of character. He still did a really good job of, he must have read the books, that's all I can say, to portray the character internally. And a book that I recently read that I really, really enjoyed. And the reason that I'm going to put this in here is because I often think about it. And I feel like if I read a book within the last 5 years that still kind of comes to my mind all the time, then it's going to be something that you guys might be interested in reading. And this one is not a Christian book, but it's The First 15 Lives of Harry August by Claire North. And it's, the concept is that everybody relives the same life over and over again, but there's a fraction of people who can remember it. And I think that, and I'm going from memory, and I'm really bad with names. Y'all know that. So Chakra Khan or something like that is the theory, that those are the people that can remember reliving their lives over and over again. And so the book opens with Harry August in his deathbed, and a young girl is there saying, I have a message from the future. The world is ending sooner than it's supposed to. And that's the setup of the book. And so basically one of the Chakra Khan or whatever they're called is affecting the future. And so, and that's the book about that. That was really brilliantly done. And you think it would get boring, and it never does. And the end is really satisfying. And we read it on a trip. We read it out loud to each other as we were driving. And we got home and we went into our bedroom with 2 more chapters left and just kept reading. So that's how good it was. So that was one. And then another one that I really loved that I would recommend is an old one. And it's Tom Clancy's Clear and Present Danger. And I loved all of Tom Clancy's books. Clear and Present Danger was my favorite of all of them. And that's another one that I think of like lines from it. And I think of the characterization of the main characters throughout his series. A lot of them really had a lot of like highlight in Clear and Present Danger. And let me think. There was another one I was going to tell you about. Oh, I just finished reading all of them. Rex Stout wrote Nero Wolfe. So he started writing them in the 30s and he finished writing them in the 70s. There's dozens of them. They're all short little not romances, mysteries. And the main character is Nero Wolfe, who is like this autistic, which he doesn't ever say that because it's written in the 30s to the 70s, autistic, obsessive compulsive, housebound detective whose first person boy Friday is is his right-hand man. So this guy has a didactic memory, and he gives him everything verbatim. And then and the reason I like it so much is because the dialogue is so stinking clever, like seriously clever. Like I will stop Greg from whatever he's doing and say, listen to this, and then read him like a whole line of dialogue. He has no context whatsoever about this book, but just brilliant dialogue. And it was actually written in the 30s and ended writing in the 70s. And so I bought all of them that I could buy and just finished reading all of them that I had. And he has another detective that's a female detective that I started reading, and it didn't have the same, because what I like so much about the first of the other books were that the dialogue between Nero Wolfe and his guy, Archie. His name is Archie. So anyway, so that's the kind of thing. I also like reading the books inspired by the screenplay. So I'm a huge movie buff, huge. You guys know that. I love watching movies way more than I love reading. And so as I was growing up, I would, if a movie was one that I loved, I would find the book that they wrote based on the screenplay. So like I can think of Witness was one, Terminator. They wrote a Terminator book. It was great. There was so much more in depth of the characters that I like, even now, if I was going to sit down and watch the Terminator, I would apply what I know about the characters to it then. Aliens, all the Raiders of the Lost Ark, a lot of the Star Warses, anyway, Romancing the Stone. So but the Terminator is one that I just thought was super well done and enjoyed it a lot. So that's the answer to the question. I know is this convoluted, crazy answer. That'd be like asking me what my favorite movie is. I'd have to give you it in genres and then the top 5 in each genre. So thank you for that question. If you have a question for me, there's a button on my website that's, Ask Hallee question, and I'm happy to answer it. I have all sorts of questions about me and my books and all sorts of things. So I'm happy to do it. In the meantime, you guys have a fantastic week. And I know that there's probably comments coming up on my Facebook page. They're not showing here anymore. So I actually need to contact StreamYard and ask about that because I can't see any. So I think if you were commenting in YouTube, I would be able to see it. But for some reason, Facebook isn't. So you guys have a great week, and I will see you next week. God bless you.